Hello, good evening. So, as always, how are you doing? If it resonates with you and you feel cool with sharing, please let me know in the comments. We're going to continue our journey a little bit tonight, going through some of the major Arcana cards. We're going to go ahead and go through 1 through 4 of the major Arcana. We went over how the full we went over him a little bit last time and his energy as far as when it's reversed, what it means. And so now we're going to start off tonight with the Magician, with Mary Greer, her viewpoint on it. The book is called The Complete Book of Tarot Reversals, just so you know where I'm getting my info. To her credit, she is one of the few people to write a book about tarot reversals. I personally have not seen many books on reversals on the shelves because I always have my eyes open for something new to provide a different perspective. So I like that. So far, as far as giving a bit of a critique about what I'm reading, she does have a disclaimer in her book, of course, saying that tarot cannot be used in place of like medical or professional help. Now, what I'm seeing as I'm reading her viewpoint on the cards is she will allude to some health conditions that when a card is in reverse that it could allude to. I think tonight, just for the sake of just passing along her viewpoint, and I find it kind of interesting that she obtained that viewpoint from her relationships, with the cards. I have to, of course, emphasize that these in no shape or fashion replace medical help. That, and especially if you read for others, we'll go into some of the interpretations she had that there is no way I would tell somebody in a reading, because when we read, especially for other people, there comes a responsibility with that, and you don't want to do harm. Ideally, you want to have a great conversation to where it opens up a rapport to where you can go back and forth and kind of fish out, okay, well, this is the problem or dilemma, and how you can empower your querent, whoever you're reading for, to work through that. Maybe even talk about resources, get them to thinking about how they can empower themselves to reach some finality and conclusion to what that may be. Or, of course, there's readings for fun. Not all of them are so serious. So it's something when I do hear about people getting readings and they get really dark, especially if they're predicting a lot of death and a lot of things. I feel like that can cause a lot of stress and so forth on people. And honestly, and this is just my 10 cents, I don't think anybody knows about when various things happen. So when I hear about readers who do that for the people they read for, it's a bummer. But I would say one of the responsibilities of reading for others would be to read in a very professional way, to where we're honoring the individual and maintaining a safe space for them, because they're in more of a vulnerable state because they open up to us. And then for the querent, whoever's getting the reading, their responsibility is to walk away. If at any time a reading does not feel comfortable or safe, even if the tarot reader doesn't say or do anything in particular, but it just feels wrong, then you have every, whoever we're reading for, or ourselves, if we're getting a reading, if we don't feel safe and in a good place, it's okay to say, I gotta go. This doesn't resonate, because again, you gotta follow your gut. So that goes a bit down the rabbit hole of the ethics with doing readings and the responsibility that comes with it. So enough about my soapbox on that. But yeah, when I hear that, some of those stories, I shake my head. So we're going to start off with the Magician. So I went over all of the cards in a lot of depth already. So say if you're new to my group and you have an interest in learning tarot and you want a breakdown of all the symbols and the various meanings of these cards, feel free to check out my YouTube channel because I've got all of them downloaded to my channel for easy reference with playlist. So per Mary Greer's viewpoint, I'll go over some things that I highlighted that I thought were useful as far as the upright meaning before we go into the reversed. So the Magician is the first card in the major arcana. Again, remember the Fool is 0, so he is separate from the rest of the cards here with the major arcana. And so with the Magician, Mary says this is the card of me, myself, and I. So this is very much the card of just like the number 1 of the self. We're talking ego. And so basically it can very simply mean just doing something on your own, right? It is about focused consciousness, concentrating your will on a task, backed up by tools, skills, and abilities. And as you can see with this card, each suit is represented. And this individual demonstrates a knowledge and a mastery of these things. And especially with how we have the flowers that are all around the periphery of this, it shows that growth and productivity, and shows good outcomes. And it also shows manifestation, taking the intent and manifesting. The Magician is also known as witty, cunning, and clever. So it's got what is called a mercurial nature. I have a time saying that. So it is ruled by the planet Mercury. So this is somebody who, it is very much like a magician in a magic show, where somebody may distract you or I long enough to reach an outcome. So this is somebody very clever. So we're about to dive a little bit into here to the reversals of this here. So when the Magician is in reverse, this is somebody, it's the direct opposite of the one sentence that Mary Greer uses here. So this is somebody who's not in a position to do something on their own. They're not able to, say, concentrate their will or focus on a task. They don't have, say, the needed tools, skills, or abilities to be able to accomplish the ends that they want to accomplish, to where that person may want to step back and re-examine where they truly are with these things, to where they can't really, they're not in a place to try to do this on their own. Now, it can also reflect somebody who is over or under confident. So, again, it's being very realistically aware of what the person is capable of doing. The Magician is known as the card of Hermes, which is a Greek god who's also a trickster and also one who loves wine. I remember reading that about him. So when it's in reverse, it emphasizes the aspect of the clever illusionist, which is the Magician. So it emphasizes aspects of the thief, liar, and con artist, even in minor ways. So this could be somebody who is not doing good by others with some form of trickery. One example that just popped in my mind would be a scam artist. All of us have had people try to get our info via emails, phone calls, you name it, especially our senior population. Unfortunately, they go through a lot of that with all the phone calls trying to get their info. But this is somebody very much trying to trick somebody to accomplish an end, you know. So I think that, and then let's see what else she says here on this. Really, that would be the gist of it. And again, she touches on the illusion aspect of the magician with this. So we're going to move right into the second card of the major arcana, which is the High Priestess. So some things that Mary Greer has on her would be, as the magician is ego, also known as self, again, number one. The priestess is knowledge. Together they initiate self-knowledge. Okay. The high priestess's knowledge is seen only through the veil of symbol and expressed as moods and emotions. So remember, this is the card of the watery emotional state, the feminine, just like you see the moon. Okay, the triple moon right there on our head. Just like the moon causes the shifts in the tides and it comes and goes in various cycles, so do our moods and emotions and so forth. And she says here, this card can indicate a time for withdrawal into dreams, meditation, or moods. So like in our group, I know that we have touched upon dream analysis and meditation and the importance of doing even 10-minute guided meditations can help as far as helping to develop this. And then with dream interpretation, we reviewed that too as a way of tapping into the High Priestess vibes. Again, we're looking for that inner guidance. So this would be like the inner elder that lives in all of us, that wise crone with knowledge and knowing that unfortunately is sometimes ignored, more so in favor for our logical side. Mary says this is a realm of mystery and inner feminine wisdom. You may act as an oracular vessel, a virgin afloat on lunar tides and cycles of knowing. I really like that, how Mary said that in that. So now we're about to dive a little bit into the reversed here. So when it's in reverse, it can signify difficulties with accessing your intuition, remembering your dreams, and knowing your own feelings. And what she said here, which was really interesting, is you may be out of touch with or deny your inner feminine wisdom. Some people are more comfortable with the High Priestess reversed than with the deep currents of the upright card. And I think that's probably because all of us don't always do our High Priestess work. It's easier to be more so analytical and logical and be dismissive of our emotions and intuition because we may question our inner knowing and not fully trust it, especially if the data, which would be our logical side, is a bit at odds with our intuition. We do tend as human beings to be like, maybe what if I'm wrong? What if I'm off? And then we veer toward the logical. So I do agree with Mary Greer that more than likely we are all more comfortable with it being in reverse, because when it's upright, if we're really doing our work and honoring the inner voice and knowing, that does take some more effort to listen to that and give value to that and not be so dismissive. So with this, another thing that she says here would be all the various health issues, which again, you never ever lean on tarot when it comes to health matters, especially when you read for other people, because it's unethical. If the person has health concerns, You help them determine where they can go for care, because there's plenty of places that see people without insurance as well. But I thought it was interesting when Mary said that with the card in reverse, it can point to, say, someone who was taken advantage of, um, or it could be menstrual problems or other women's health issues. Cycles of any kind could be disrupted. Because this card is associated with the moon, hormonal mood swings or lunatic, which is in apostrophes, behavior is possible. Medications could need adjustment. And again, if that comes up in a reading, the responsible thing is to refer them to a healthcare provider, you know. So I like that she provides various aspects. And of course, I'm not reviewing all of them at length because you guys can read this book to read everything that Mary writes, but there is a responsibility that comes with this and to question, right? The third major arcana card that we'll cover would be the Empress. So she is known as the Mother card, also the Lover card. This is the nurturer, caregiver, creative energy. So when you think of, say, Mother Earth, the earth that we live on, the mothers that may have brought us into the world, and for some that can really elicit some strong feelings and thoughts depending on what type of relationship we may or may not have had with mothers, right? She is ruled by Venus, and so we're looking at the Greek goddess Aphrodite, okay, who's associated with love. So when it's upright, again, we're looking at the influences of a mother or mother figure, as well as our own issues around what it means to nurture others and be what society labels as motherly. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it does point to pregnancy. I'm not saying each and every time. Now, with pregnancy, it doesn't have to be a human in a womb. This could be like a project that somebody is giving birth to and very much nurturing and developing. It could be a creative idea, a new product, or a child. So it's all about the process of creation, right? And again, carrying it to term, you know. So when we're getting to the reverse energy for this card, Mary Greer has described it as devouring, smothering, demanding mother. Kind of like, what is it, Mother Dearest? I think it's with Joan Crawford. I'm thinking of that black and white movie. Or absent mother, or perhaps not wanting to be like your mother, to where there are mother issues there. It could also be self-indulgence, vanity, and superficiality. So this is somebody very much inward turned and not looking to do very much with others. It may reflect us not taking care of ourselves or others very well. Or it could also reflect the opposite side of the spectrum, to where somebody's way too giving of their time and resources, to where the energy is off because we don't have a balance. Now, she does go into health disorders, which, again, it's just a fun fact. I would never use this in a reading. But Mary Greer says it might indicate nutritional or thyroid disorders, or tumors and cysts in which the body provides a nurturing environment for abnormalities. So I can see from a certain perspective her viewpoint on our body turning on us, like especially when I think of autoimmune disorders, to where we're not nourished and, say, protected by our body, but say in that instance the body attacks itself. But again, this in no shape or form, I don't think, has a place in tarot. That was just a fun fact to throw out there. I would not even say use the info for yourself, because that's the beauty of science and technology and diagnostics. There's a reason we have that. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting from that viewpoint. And then we will move into the Emperor. So we'll bring this guy up into things. So this is the father of tarot, also described as the inner male, because no matter the sex, we have a mixture of male and female characteristics, right? As well as older, masculine, paternal, authoritative, professional people. So this would be like the supervisor, the one who oversees a project, the, say, team leader that establishes the order, make sure that people are abiding by rules and expectations and holding people accountable and having some adequate boundaries, but not overly so. We're very much talking about Emperor energy. Let's see here. And so this card is very much, this energy owns that authority. There is a confidence there. They're also a goal setter. So not only do they lead and establish the framework that we were talking about with this, but it's all about goal setting too, again, which is a form of accountability. And it says, as a card of virility, this is the energetic inseminator who projects their will outward. So that is something, right? And you got to keep in mind that this energy also has the high priestess and that of the empress also integrated, because we have an evolution on this fool's journey, right? As we do anytime we're going and making our way through the major arcana. So this is somebody, again, the energy has shifted and evolved, and so we're seeing a bit of this. And this is the first card since we have started back on the major arcana where it is not ruled by a planet, but we're talking about the zodiac or astrological symbol. So this card is all about Aries energy, which is interesting. Now let's say if the card is reversed. Okay, now generally speaking, and even when I did my previous go lives, and I did touch on some reversals even back then, you're talking about, generally speaking, it can be the opposite ending, or not ending, but opposite meaning of the upright card, or it could be a gross exaggeration of the upright, right? So just think of both ends of the spectrum. So with this, we see somebody who's very self-righteous, a bit of a dictator, so it's a bit of a tyranny. Somebody who's not considering and working with others, or seeking to understand, right? They just want to be heard. It can also show somebody who's a coward, who does not advocate and speak up. And that is a sign of poor leadership, which would be a reverse emperor. And as Mary Greer describes it, it's a failed leader. So these would be the leaders in our life where we've looked at them and we've determined that, no, I don't want to be like that when I grow up. I think all of us, more than likely, we've had some really strong leaders in our life and then some who were lacking. And when they're lacking, it's best to take note of what is lacking and why that is, and to not adopt that behavior, especially when you observe the outcome that it has on their environment and the people in it, Now she goes even into health aspects. I think it's with all these cards. She says health aspects include such things as gout, headaches, loss of virility and vitality, prostate problems, accidents, wounds, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So, again, interesting, but that's all it would ever be. I would say don't utilize the health portion. So that sums up those 4 cards. So being that, we're talking about the reversals, that's why I figured that we're going to make our way through all 78 cards, probably without an issue, because I'm just going to do more than one, to just kind of like go through them through Mary's viewpoint, and we'll kind of evolve with that knowledge, but as always, really look at your intuitive interpretation of these cards, and how they make you feel. What colors do you see? What do the colors mean to you? The numbers on the cards, what do they mean? How does the image look differently when it's upside down versus upright, you know? So, one thing I am going to do in our group is I am going to post a spread of just a couple cards with some reversals, and there is no wrong answer. You know how I am in our group. It's a laid back group. It's all about intuitive interpretation, and see with the big picture what type of interpretation you would give to those cards. So we'll see what the group comes up with. And I think that does it for tonight. Thank you for your time and your presence. And of course, I've been chatting, and my hubby's been here supporting me as always. Hi, honey. So I will talk to you guys later. Good night.